All's my life I has to fight.
Hi, I'm Eric. I'm a freshman here at UMBC. I am studying bio. I'm on the pre-med track. I'm also a member of the track and field team here. I am biracial. I am Korean and white.
My name is Patrick. I'm a freshman political science and global studies major, a straight white Irish male.
Hey, I'm Rukia. I'm a senior here at UMBC and I study psychology and social welfare. I identify as African American.
Yeah, my name is Jacob Wise Dennis. I am a senior at UMBC studying economics and with a minor in political science. I identify as a Christian black male is straight.
My name is Jason Stein. I am 27. I'm a 6-year Navy veteran, president of the UMBC College Republicans, sophomore economics major, male, straight, white.
What does the Black Lives Matter movement mean to you?
A way to protect one's culture, especially for black people, and it's a way that people can form like an identity and further protect their culture from, like, say, racism.
Is basically the modern day representation of an age-old fight for the freedom of the black people, for the liberation of the black people, especially here in America, where they see everyday systematic and institutionalized racism.
To me, that movement means a couple of things. It shows solidarity amongst everyone, like with the black struggle, but also it hones kind of in on police brutality as an issue in our community and in America. I think it's one of those movements that kind of bring everyone together.
Is an organization that's focused on uplift of the black community and restoring and righting some of the historical wrongs that have been kind of dealt to people of color, specifically black people, since the beginning of the United States, honestly.
It's to raise awareness of police brutality against the black community.
Do you consider Black Lives Matter to be an anti-police organization?
The core belief, I do not think it's a anti-police organization. At times it can come off and be viewed as an anti-police organization just because of how many incidents there are between young male African Americans and shootings with the police, and having to protest that.
No, I consider it to be an anti-injustice organization. Now, whether like that takes the form of the police, or maybe like the court system itself, I see it as whoever is propagating injustice against black lives, that's who it's against.
No, I think it's an anti-police brutality organization, but I do think by the nature of it all that it is an organization of people who are naturally a bit distrustful of the system itself, but not against specific police officers, just like against any systems that are rooted in systematic oppression or racism.
No, not at all. I mean, there's actually, if you look at the Black Lives Matter principles, everything they stand for is almost exclusively about the empowerment of black people. It has nothing to do with trying to fight the power or, anarchy or anything like that. It's really just trying to uplift the minds and the souls and the socioeconomic mobility of black people.
With any other group in the world, we had Christianity to KKK, Islamic to Islamic extremists such as ISIS, there's always that minority in every group that creates terror, extreme violence, etc., etc. Not saying BLM is a terrorist group, please don't make it sound like that. Then that's where they get the media attention, that's where people get that idea from, but the overall average everyday member, I don't believe is.
Does Black Lives Matter encourage violence?
I don't believe it was originally intended to be so. Oftentimes when people are angry, they tend to get in a state of mind where logic isn't really in play, and people can get carried away. People are angry and they want something to be done, but to them nothing's being done.
No, Black Lives Matter doesn't encourage violence because violence will never be able to solve these issues. And I believe they recognize that thoroughly. There are people within Black Lives Matter who can sometimes hijack that message, but that does not reflect on the group as a whole, and it's vital to understand that.
No.
No. That Like, actually, it's quite the opposite. One of the most inclusive movements when you're talking about bringing people together. If you look at their principles, for example, one of their core principles, the focus on queer-identified people in the Black community, and to say, not only am I here, but I'm also important, just as important.
I don't think the average member wants to create violence. They want to be a peaceful movement within their First Amendment right, which they have the authority to.
How do you feel about the all lives matter argument?
To me, that's just kind of like logic. Yes, all lives matter. Everyone should be treated equally, and that's why that's one of the reasons why Black Lives Matter was, I guess, like introduced, because many times people don't tend to like people ignore the fact that many African American males are being shot in the streets.
So I think it's important to understand that yes, all lives do matter, but Black lives matter as well, and you have to start with that before you can get to the all lives matter.
I think that the phrase all lives matter only comes up when people are trying to refute Black Lives Matter as a movement or as a standpoint. So while obviously everyone knows that all lives matter, it's just something that is said to take the focus away from the issues that matter.
All lives matter objectively, to me, isn't an issue. All lives matter is by itself true, but all lives matter, it cannot be until Black lives matter. And then by extension, Black lives cannot matter until all Black lives matter.
I don't think anybody thinks any life is worth more than the others. So the all lives matter argument, I already said.
Would you consider racism a significant factor in police misconduct?
Yes, there is a big serious issue about like stereotyping and certain things. It's like per se, like I would be less likely to be stopped by police on driving around the road as compared to an African American male.
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at the modern day prisons, they are a new form of Jim Crow. There is a very serious problem when it comes to these institutional level problems of racism. Very strongly, there are inherent biases when it comes to policing.
Definitely.
I think it's definitely a significant factor. It's not just race. Crime and poverty, low socioeconomic status go hand in hand. When you have someone who doesn't look like you and who is impoverished, then as a police officer, what they're going to do is assume the worst of everybody who looks like you because you're already tied to having a certain lifestyle. That's not the case.
Not at all.
Do you feel a part of the movement?
I've supported its ideals. I've never really been like too involved with the movement.
While it's important that Black people take charge of it and lead it because it is their own lives, I believe that as a white person that it's my duty to stand up for them, to say that I'm white and I believe that Black Lives Matter.
I do, but I don't know, I think it ebbs and flows. Like, I think it only really comes up when something bad happens or something tragic happens. I wish that I was more of a part of it, throughout time.
I do, but I think me feeling more a part of the movement has only grown as my understanding of myself as a Black man has grown, and also as I've grown to have more compassion, particularly for people who look like me.
No.
What do you think is your role in the movement?
Use whatever influence I have to support it in any way I can.
I see myself as a supporter. I understand that as a white person that I can't be a leader in it, and I understand that it's not my place. I'm able to say Black Lives Matter just as loud as every Black person because I truly believe that.
Being active on the ground, because I don't really have any money or resources, so all I can provide is my body. And so if I can protest, that's a good thing in the future. If I can work with kids and empower children.
And start to help unravel some of the inefficiencies and some of the blatant racism that keeps Black people economically oppressed. And my goal is to help advise on policy and create economic theory that directly works to unravel that and work against it.
To allow people to peacefully protest within their First Amendment right.
Where do we go, nigga? And we hate po-po. Wanna kill us dead in the street for sure. Nigga, I met the preachers.